Thank you to the wonderful and the fabulous team of TiE Delhi-NCR, Delhi chapter, which as we were having a chat, that's one of the most active members. In fact, not one of the most active members among 60 plus chapters of TiE across the world. Thanks to the board members of TiE Delhi for giving us a chance to say thank you. We'd love to spend more time, once later on, for the rest of the evening when we have the dinner open. But before that, I have the honor and the pleasure to invite and introduce a very distinguished guest which we have today, which is Kevin Parikh. Kevin Parikh is there amongst us. Let me go through each and every point, take the liberty of reading it through so that I don't miss out any one of them because each one of them is quite significant. Kevin Parikh currently sits on the board of trustees of TiE Global, but more importantly, which he is more proud of, is that he's been an active charter member for more than 2 decades. He is the CEO and chairman of Avasant, which is a leading global management consulting firm which negotiates over 28 billion annually in technology deals representing buyers. He's also a best-selling author of Digital Singularity, A Case for Humanity. And he's also written another book. This is just one of the 2. Demonstrating his unwavering commitment to innovation and shaping the future, Kevin serves on the board of Counselors for the Center of Political Future at the University of Southern California, and also as a chairman of the CEO Board of Advisors for Innovate at UCLA at the University of California, Los Angeles. Very interestingly, he was a US presidential appointee to former President Bill Clinton. And he's also an avid philanthropist. As chairman of the Avasant Foundation, Kevin is dedicated to initiatives that support disadvantaged youth and women empowerment. And through the foundation, over 25,000 jobs have been created for youth to participate in the digital economy. So that's for you, friends, our guest for the evening. I'm looking forward to learn from Kevin. Kevin, could I invite you to please take over the stage?
Thank you so much, Rohit, and for all of your support of TiE, an organization that we all feel so warmly for and care so much for. I want to start the discussion today by talking about something that is close to my heart and something that has mattered a lot to me over the years. I want to talk about innovation. There are a few points in time, and the study I've carried on for over 20 plus years, where incredible innovation happens. This disruptive innovation triggers essentially a new world order. Why it's important for us to understand what that is because once we see that new world order, we can plan our businesses, we can plan our investments accordingly. In a sense, we're looking around the corner. One of the key points around innovation that excites me being here today in New Delhi, coming all the way from Los Angeles, is to see the vibrant culture of innovation all around us. So many startups. It reminds me of the dot-com boom and hopefully not the bust to come, but as with all things, there are cycles. During this time as charter members, I want to talk about how we sustain leadership and how we continue that innovation. Since the beginning of time, humanity's greatest challenges have triggered extreme disruptive innovation. The subsequent New World Orders rewrite the script for everything, from trade routes to alliances. And if you don't think that's what's happening right now, you may not be really understanding the impact of global crisis. So again, global crisis leads to disruptive innovation and the rise of a new world order. Since 1940, this has happened 3 times. I'm going to talk about all 3. There have been minor disruptions, but these are the 3 major ones. World War II ended with what innovation? The creation of the atomic bomb, right? And in 1 minute, in one instant, the world changed forever. We were thrust into the computer age and ultimately what became the Cold War. Again, global crisis leads to extreme innovation. Once again, the Cold War was disrupted by yet another innovation, the World Wide Web. I remember when I worked for Bill Clinton, I remembered having a discussion in a conference room, much smaller than this one, but very, very intense conversation about whether or not people should have computers at their desk. And I was a young lawyer at the time. The question was a simple one. Should they have a computer and should it be connected to the internet? And if we give them the internet, will they just be playing? And maybe they'll even do some bad things. Well, interestingly enough, an old man in the back of the room, I've told this story many times, but it's meaningful to me. He raised his hand and he says, I'm set for retirement. And you know what? They said the same thing about the introduction of the telephone to the office. They said we would be talking all the time and we wouldn't get any work done. These technologies are absolutely essential for us to continue. And we did. The internet was so disruptive, in fact, that it resulted in perestroika and, as we know, the fall of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War. How did that happen? Because in a closed market and closed economy like the USSR at the time, the people for the first time were seeing that maybe life isn't so bad on the outside as we've been told. And so the digital divide was in fact broken instantly again with the internet, creating the platform for globalization and Thomas Friedman's dream of a flat world. COVID-19 had a similar impact as a global crisis. What did it result in? Instant adoption of digital technology. Instant adoption of digital technology. And so as we see from these three examples, human crisis results in extreme innovation and a new world order. What's the new world order? After World War II, India-Pakistan lines were drawn, Israel-Gaza lines were drawn, right? All of the world's lines were drawn. Every African nation was created after World War II. After we ended the Cold War, what happened? Eastern Europe moved into Central Europe, became part of the EU or NATO. The lines were once again redrawn. The lines are being redrawn again. Before I talk about what that new world order looks like, I want to talk about this cycle of disruption and innovation. If you look closely at this graph, what you'll see is in the blue line, disruptive innovation following each one of these three events. And it's extreme. That disruptive innovation, whether it's the atomic bomb or the invention of the mobile phone, whatever it might be, is followed by what we call incremental updates. What's an incremental update? Steve Jobs creates the cell phone, the mobile phone, the Apple iPhone, and what happens? We're now on number 15, and it's pretty much the same device, right? Those are incremental updates from the innovation, setting the stage for the next innovation. But what happens on that goal line? You may not be able to read it from here, but I'm going to tell you what that is. That's labor displacement that happens as a result of that innovation. We're moving into the digital age, we're moving into generative AI, and labor disruption is upon us. The labor disruption ultimately leads to labor productivity and a realignment and connection again, right? That is the point when labor has reskilled and understands how to take an opportunity in the new environment of the new innovation. But what's happening as we go forward? Those cycles are getting smaller as the innovations become more impactful, and the amount of time that human beings have to reskill is shrinking. It's shrinking. Until we get here. Today we're in a transitory phase, which we call this enlightened disruption. This is a peek into my next book called The Imagination Age. What is this enlightened disruption? As you can see here, the labor line, which is in gold, and the blue line, which is the innovation line, have merged. What this means is, at the moment we have the thought, we can create. So the speed and time from idea to innovation starts shrinking. We call this the imagination age, the next age following the digital age. And as we think about what that means for humanity and what it means for the new world order, it will help us define our supply chains, our businesses, and our strategies. So what does that new world order look like? If you consider 9 major conflicts from the Nordics and Russia, Ukraine and Russia, right? Syria, Israel, Palestine, India, Pakistan. We have the India-China border contested, South China Sea, China-Taiwan, and of course North and South Korea. You see a really nice line, don't you? Okay? That line is not the new Iron Curtain, but what it is defining new supply chain, new trading blocks. We released this nearly 24 months ago, and when we did, we made a statement. What is that statement? We're going to move out of China. It's going to move to India. We're going to start manufacturing in Mexico. We're going to see supply chains move. And it wasn't just because of COVID. It was also because of geopolitical stress and conflict. So it was a dual factor change. And we're seeing it. We're seeing this new Western trading bloc emerge. In the last year, India has brought General Electric engines, that's one of our clients, here to India, right? And that means we'll be manufacturing them here on Indian soil. Never heard of before, happening. General Atomics, which is the inventor of the Predator drone, we do quite a bit of work with them. But 2 years ago, they would have never allowed a non-US citizen to work on their facility. Today, they're having us help them build a manufacturing facility in India because they want drones to actually police the China-India border. The world has changed in a moment. COVID provided us the impetus, and here we are today. The trading lines have moved. The supply chains have moved. Pressure on Taiwan from China means what? It means semiconductors built in India. And it's happening. Most of you have seen the news. These are the big shifts that India is part of. We're here to talk about the New Bharat, and that's exactly what it is. This is not about, I know we're in an election cycle, it's not about Congress or BJP or Donald Trump or Biden or all the other elections that are happening at this time. This is an immovable force that no one can actually stop. It took exactly 1 day for all of US businesses to exit Russia following the invasion of Ukraine. Consider how powerful this change is. So, what is the new world order racing us toward? It is a race for resources. The moon, identifying new trading routes, including in Africa and beyond. Natural resources, rare earth elements, and the territorial disputes that I spoke of. This is the new world order that we live in. And with it, we will define new supply chains, but we will also define new partners, new alliances. So be open as charter members. You know, it's interesting because I gave a version of this presentation nearly 24 months ago, and I was speaking to some of my own employees from India at a global summit, and they said, India's not blue, Kevin. India's not red. India's purple. We're something in between. I said, you're wrong. When India landed on the moon, the first call that the Indian Space Agency received was from the NASA chief congratulating them for the rover. Did that rover look familiar to you? Looked very similar to a JPL rover built in California. What we need to appreciate and understand is that, and I'm saying this as an American with an Indian heart, okay, is that in IT and technology and innovation, there is a complete merger between India and the United States, and it is complete. There is no space between the West and India at all. And these latest moves to manufacture defense-related equipment in India actually completes that move. So this is an exciting time. It is a very exciting time, and we have tremendous opportunities. We are in the midst of conflict, and as I wrap up the presentation, I want to talk a little bit about TiE and our journey as leaders. You know, in the year 2000, when I started my entrepreneurial journey, Indian entrepreneurs in the Indian diaspora, we were clawing our way up. In fact, I left one of my companies that I was an executive in for many years because after growing to be 1/3 of the business, I was never invited to even attend a board meeting. And I was running 1/3 of a billion-dollar business at that time. Maybe it was because I was young, maybe it was because I was Indian, but I wasn't invited. And it taught me something about the perseverance required to be a successful entrepreneur. When I did finally launch this company, Avasant, nearly 20 years ago, I recognized again that we are deep in the information age, and this is where Indians became innovators. We started inventing things, creating things. And I should mention, it's not really Indians, it's Indus, it's really the Indus group, right? Broadly. We were the engineers, we were the experts, we were the ones solving Y2K. Infosys was born. Narayan Murthy made it happen, but so did hundreds of thousands of others. IBM, if you recall, I remember the days when they christened their office in Bangalore. I was there. 200,000 people were hired nearly overnight. You see, that's when we became innovators. More recently, in the midst of the poly crisis, we are now leaders. And leaders means today 30% of Fortune 500 companies have Indian CEOs. If you look at CFOs and other positions, the number climbs. It is something to be proud of, but it is also something to be fearful of. When you're on top, that is when you're a target to be toppled. We are not clawing up anymore like all of those young people out there. That's not us. As charter members, we have a responsibility to lead them. We have a responsibility to teach them. Because what we want is sustaining leadership. We don't want to be toppled as quickly as we rose. Look at this list of CEO origin CEOs and all, Microsoft, IBM, World Bank, Palo Alto. This is real. This is fantastic. So what do we need to do to make sure that we not only hold on to this mantle, but act respectfully with the power that we have? Act in a manner that is honorable. We must promote a gold standard for ethics, integrity, and transparency. Because in the midst of all types of scandals, corruption, and whatnot, as executives now on the top, it is our responsibility to lead. And as members of TiE, we have an opportunity to share our personal experiences, but also to teach and set the standard for others. Encourage innovation to solve the grand challenges. Encourage and promote ESG compliance. Think about those two together. Innovation to support sustainability. I have a foundation, it's a youth education foundation, but because we do so much work with the Indian IT industry, we challenge them to hire from the foundation. we'll spend on their training, we'll custom create programs as long as they hire. And we have a 98% placement rate of hiring. And over 25,000 now students having gone through the program. But consider, that's social governance, right? That's a social contract. Use the power that you have to do good. Engage in honesty and servant leadership. This is something that's so important for all of us. We work for our employees. All of you entrepreneurs know that. We've never worked for ourselves. We've always worked for our families. We've always worked for our employees. And we've always come second. How many of those lessons do those young entrepreneurs outside truly understand and appreciate? Foster a culture of respect and value for diversity of thought. And with these 5 tenets, I ask you and implore you to create a dream for young people. That's what we're here for. Let's make sure we sustain that leadership. And when the bad times come, which they will, because they always do, we will stand back on our laurels and say, this is what we're preaching. We can clean up our own mess, and we're going to keep going, right? As true leaders do. We are not clawing from the bottom anymore. One of the big initiatives that I'm pushing on the Board of Trustees, and a wonderful board, I'm going to actually show you some of their faces, so some of them are here, you can reach out to see them, is this Sustainable Development Goal alignment with the United Nations. So I sit, as my company, Avasant, as a member of the United Nations Global Compact since 2011, with a primary focus of alignment to the Sustainable Development Goals. What's important is that now as TiE, we take all of our programs across all 60 chapters and some 20,000 odd people and report our impact as an organization, not as just the Delhi chapter or SoCal chapter or Silicon Valley chapter, but as an organization. And so this is going to require a little bit of work, but we are going to do this, and we're going to publish our impact as a nonprofit organization, and I'm very excited about that. And it will be in 4 sustainable development areas: quality of education, gender equality, industry innovation, and infrastructure, and partnership for the partnership goals. And today, International Women's Day, what a better day to celebrate than here today at this event and this venue. So big applause in hand for all the women in the audience. This is the Board of Trustees. Amit Gupta is our chair. And Murli Mani, you know him, he's our vice chair. I don't think he's here today, he's in Udaipur. Most of you will probably know your BOT. I'm a new member of the BOT, very excited to see great things happen, and there will be great things. This is something Amit came up with, hashtag 11 is the new one. So 11 is the new one, so we're all acting together, we're all acting as one. I think that's a great statement for the board. And hashtag good for the world, which means all of the tenets that I laid out for you, we want to keep that fast forward in our mind. We have a unifying vision, truly global platform shaping the future of entrepreneurship to drive innovation and value creation that transforms economies for an equitable, sustainable, and inclusive world. And this is from your Board of Trustees. So I'm thrilled to be here and to see all of you, and I hope I get a chance during dinner to talk. But just, keep in mind this notion of sustaining leadership. We are no longer clawing from the bottom. Now we have a greater responsibility to lead. Thank you, everyone. Am I supposed to say something else? Are we going to dinner now? Is that the next thing on the agenda? I don't see Rohit.
I thought you were asked us to ask.
Oh, do you want questions? It's up to you, Rohit. We have time.
Anybody wants to ask questions? Kevin is right there. Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
What was your age when you were working with Bill Clinton?
26. I'm 53.
Hi. Very, very impressive and motivating. This is Sandeep Khosla. I've got only one thing. You said that, of course, you are in US, but with an Indian heart. And you can see the way India is moving in terms of the startup culture. The last number was 114,000 listed. Of course, we need to handle that with care. One thing which probably should keep us pushing, and how do we achieve that, is that yes, we have a lot of startup founders. We have got wonderful TiE charter members who are contributing to the global economy. But why are we still not reaching a level where innovation or a practice coming from India is leading the world? We have leaders who are Indian, but we don't still have an Uber or an Airbnb. So what more needs to be done at an individual capacity or global capacity, collective capacity, that we have something for the world rather than only India?
So,
Thank you.
I look at it a little differently than you. Maybe a little less nationalistically because I'm part of an Indian diaspora. I see the success of Indians across geographies. So today, and I'm going to answer your question this way. I oftentimes joke with my own employees. I'm here in India. 100% of the employees are Indian. I go to UK and about 80% of my employees are Indian. I go to Dubai and about, 100% of our employees are Indian or of the Indian diaspora, maybe not born. I go to the US, another 30 to 40% are Indian. I go to our Mexico, 0. Mexico office has 0. But you get the point. The point is the Indus population is making significant impact in the world, irrespective of whether it exists on Indian soil or not. And to me, that's the power of TiE. We are 60 chapters all over the world that should be acting as one with a single vision, and that's where my heart is. So, of course, we love to see all the advancements. This was a great time to be in India for me. I got to visit some of my family. I gave a speech to my employees. I also gave a talk at our Analyst Connect event. And just to hear the excitement of this new Bharat and where it's taking us, it's phenomenal. But let's not forget the power of the diaspora. It is beyond the boundaries of India. Any other questions?
One line about impact. How do you define impact?
That's a great question. So as it pertains to the Sustainable Development Goals, these are defined metrics across all 17 goals. One of the challenges we have and they're quite defined, right? So in terms of actual metrics, so how many students educated, how many, in what jobs did they receive, how much income did they get from those jobs, right? So these types of metrics, which are well defined by the United Nations, we have not adopted in TiE, which means we are unable to show impact that is aligned with the rest of the world. Being unable to show impact means that one chapter might be doing something nice, but it's not comparable to what the other chapter is doing because they're not even measuring metrics the same way. TYE in one town is something completely different than TYE in another town. And maybe they're running a competition, maybe they're just having an internship program. But that has to get a little bit harmonized so that we can actually show the impact to the world, what TiE is for and what we're doing.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm sure there are many. I'm sure there are many more questions, and I think a nicer and a better way that we can continue this conversation over drinks and dinner. So may I invite everybody to please join us over dinner and celebrate the evening together. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. It was a wonderful talk, and we'll catch up more on that. Thank you.